Hey guys, One Clue here. I hope all of you are doing all right and having a really great day. In today's episode of Bitaxe 101, do we want to take a look on GitHub, what it is, what it can do with it, how it can contribute to projects, especially to Open Source Miners United projects, and just an overall view of what you can do with it. So let's get started and right into it. So, as you can see, I opened my web browser again and we are on the web page GitHub. But what is GitHub? Let me quickly introduce you to GitHub. GitHub is a cloud-based platform that hosts software development projects using Git, a distributed version control system, and it allows developers to collaborate on projects, track changes, merge updates, and maintain versions of their code. GitHub basically simplifies the process of working together on a project from anywhere in the world, enabling users to contribute code, review changes, and manage project issues and documentation. It's not just a tool for developers, it's also a social network site for programmers, where they can share projects, connect with others, and contribute to open source software, like ours from Open Source Miners United, the Bitaxe software. So GitHub has become an essential tool in the modern software development workflow, and that's the reason why we do use it. That's the reason why we love it. And that's the reason why we're here today, because I want to introduce you to it and how you can use it. So let's begin with a couple of basics. Today I don't want to introduce you on how you can open up an account on there. This should be a straightforward process and you should be able to figure this out. What I want to do with you today is to hop over to the GitHub repository from the Bitaxe project. And I want to go over a couple of things that we can do, that you can do especially, to contribute to this project or to any other project that you do like and that you want to contribute to. So, the first thing that we do have here is a top bar where we do see a selection, and currently we are on the selection of code. We also do have the selection of issues, pull requests, discussions, actions, projects, security, and insights. One step more down, we do see the naming of the actual repository, and a repository is nothing else than just like the name of the project or like a description of this folder that we are currently in. And then we do have a couple of features, like to the top here we do have this watch button. Whenever we do press this on a repository, we will get notifications per email or per push notification, whatever you have set in your settings. So you get like a notification whenever there is an update on this repository. There's also this fork button, and then there's the star button. The fork button is for actually making your own copy of this repository. So in order that you do change a couple of things, and then you pull request this to the main GitHub repository, so in order to contribute to it. But we will dive into this in a later one, but not right now. And then we do have the star. The star is basically just like a thumbs up version on GitHub. And that's like the main part on the top section. And then in the middle, we do see a lot of different files. This differentiates from project to project. Some projects do have just one file. I do have some that just have one file because it's just one shell script or something like this. And some, like this one, do have plenty of them, or even directories in this directory. Another important topic is a little bit to the right here. We do have this about section, and about is basically just like one-liner that you do use to describe your project. Here it is described as open source ASIC Bitcoin miner hardware. That's correct for the Bitaxe. Then we do have a README, a GPL license, activities, and so on. So we do have like a quick overview on the right-hand side here. And one important thing here is obviously the licensing. This one does here have the GPL 3.0 license. So if you're not aware of this, just click on it and read through it. It is a licensing for this project, and it basically states what is allowed to do with this project and what not. Obviously, GitHub is a open source platform. Therefore, everything that you will publish here in a public repository will be open source to the broader community of whatever you're doing. And this is nothing less for any other project that you do here. So whenever you do publish anything here, or whenever you do post anything here, be aware everybody is going to be able to see that. But let's dive a little bit more deeper into this. So now we've got like a quick introduction of, okay, what's GitHub? And okay, I do have this all weird buttons here. Let's scroll down. A good start point in a GitHub repository is actually to scroll down and try to search for a README file. There are a couple of repositories in GitHub or on GitHub, whatever you want to call it, that do not have any README files, so they do not explain what's happening in here. Always depends on the developer that is doing stuff here, if he wants to do it or not. But the Bitaxe project and all the other things from OSMU usually do have a README file, and everything is well explained in order to understand what's happening here. And this one here is the Bitaxe project. So this is the repository for all those hardware files. The software is in a separate repository, but we will dive into this in the next episode and not in today's episode, because today we just want to learn the basics and we want to learn the first step in what you can do in order to contribute to Open Source Miners United or in over to any other project that you do like. So, as I said, a good starting point is to go a little bit further down and read through the README file. This usually will feature a couple of interesting facts about the project that you are currently looking at, but despite this fact, it will sometimes also give you instructions, like we do see here, building. Check out building.md for PCB ordering tips, or check out assembly.md for assembly tips. If we just click on assembly.md for now, in order to understand what's happening here, we do go to another file, and as you do see, we're now in the assembly.md file, and we do see what's written inside of this file. Inside here, we do see a couple of tips and tricks in order what you need to do or what you could do in order when you're trying to assemble your own Bitaxe. Whenever you do feel like that you want to have something visual, you can always look at one of my other videos or my live streams that I did of actually assembling a Bitaxe device. But be aware, in this series of Bitaxe 101 will I also feature how to create your own PCB and how to assemble a Bitaxe device. So this will happen, but later on. But if you cannot wait, just look one of my live streams or one of my other videos where I did so. So now we should have a good overview of what you can do on GitHub. Like, not from the perspective of someone who is contributing, but of like getting used to it. Take a look on it. Now we will dive into a little bit more technical stuff. And if you did not understand anything that I was saying in the first place, just leave me a comment down below. And if you do like the video so far, I would highly love to get a thumbs up from you so that I know that I'm doing good and you know that you will get more videos about all this stuff. We talked a little bit about the basic stuff of GitHub. Now let's dive into it. We do have something interesting up here, and I want to highlight this. This is a so-called branch. Whenever you do have anything contributed to GitHub, you do create branches. This is just a Git feature, and a branch is basically just a copy or modified version of the default. For example, I've pressed on it and now we do have this weird drop-down menu, and you do see there's plenty of different branches. So these are all different versions of the Bitaxe hardware. You could go to the Ultra V2, you could go to the Ultra V1.0, 1.1, or to the Super 401. If you do take a look on this branch here, we do see that this branch, so this modified version of the master branch, is 28 commits ahead and 1 commit behind the master branch. So this is the branch for the Super 401 version, so the version that does utilize the S21 ASIC chip in order to gain more hashes and be a little bit more efficient compared to the Ultra version. And here's a complete different picture of how it looks. As you see, so we are now in a different version of this GitHub repository. We now do see different files. We have changed the branch. And just for the sake, if you did not understand what I did, I just clicked on it. And the master branch on the top here, that's always the default. And then you do have sometimes, not on every single repository, but this is something that we usually use on the Bitaxe hardware and the software part, that we do have different branches in order to not confuse people, because sometimes we do work on different iterations or different testing stuff, and in order not to confuse the main people or the main branch, the master branch here with functionalities in there. We do create other ones in order to test a little bit there, and then if things are good, then we can merge it into the master branch. That's the base idea of it. Or if you do have complete different things, like for example, we have the NodeX Ultra. If you take a look on this one, this is also a complete different version of the Bitaxe. As you see, this utilizes a NerdX or a nerd miner, which you just plug onto the Bitaxe device, or the Bitaxe PCB here, and PCB stands for printable circuit board. As you see, we are now completely seeing different files, and this is something that you really need to understand. Like for example, if you're searching for new stuff, take a look on it. We do have 14 different branches for 14 different versions. The master branch is always for the most recent version of the Bitaxe, and this one here features the Bitaxe Ultra. So the master branch hopefully will stay for the Bitaxe Ultra, and the super branch will always be its own branch. But as you do see, we do have different files, we do have different pictures, we do have different readmes, so different descriptions for it, and obviously we do have different people contributing to it. This is for you to understand what's happening there, so that you are not getting confused. So hopefully I'm not confusing you right now, but just so you know, the master branch is always there, and even if you are in a branch that you do not really understand, for let's say for example let's see, do we have anything that's not clear? Usually every single branch should be clear, as you see, Ultra 2.4, 2.5, Ultra V1. So maybe you can define what those versionings are, but you do understand the basic difference. Like the Supra is with the S21 chip, the Max is with the with the old chip from the S17, the Ultra is with the chip from the S19, and the NerdX Ultra is the Ultra with a nerd miner on it. So usually you should understand what the branch is doing. Yeah, just take a look at it in the next episode where we do actually create our first issue and our first pull request. We will stay in the master branch, but I just wanted to show it to you so that you do understand what this is. Next to the branch, we do have something called tags. And tags is also pretty interesting. This is something like a release, but it's not a finished release, it's just a tag. So it is something like a point that we want to make somewhere in the development curve that we are applying to. So let's say we are producing or we are trying to develop a new version of the Bitaxe device, and at some point we want to make a version of it. Like, okay, now it's the versioning 2.02. And 3 weeks later, we have changed so many parts. Okay, we need to create a new version for it. And that's the reason why we use tags. Especially on the hardware side, tags are there to actually identify, okay, this is the tag for this specific model number. And everything beyond that is for a even higher model number, for a different model number. Tags are different from releases, because releases are something that you usually use when it comes to software, and this is something that we will find in the Bitaxe ESP miner repository. We do see that we have different releases here. So releases are usually for the software part. So whenever you do face an issue, for example with your Bitaxe device, and you think, man, something is so odd, but it's not so uncommon, or you think it's not really uncommon, what you can do is take a look on the Issues tab, and on the top left here you do see this Issues tab. If you just click on it, this is like another option for you in order to interact with someone who is actually creating a GitHub repository, especially to tell them, hey, there's an issue. If you do have questions, this is usually not well seen by other people, and I do call myself to it. So when I, for example, create a repository and you come over and just ask something that has already been described or has already been explained, it's not the right place to do so. What this Issues tab is for an issue that you do face with your device or with your software that you do think is worth noting to others. And as you do see here, we do have a couple of issues open, and we do have a couple of issues closed on the Bitaxe hardware side. Let's take a look on the issues that are closed before we do anything else. So for example, we do have an issue called BM1366AL, and this issue has been opened from Manotrol. And he asked, is there any difference between this AL and without AL? So Ben, who is the creator of Public Pool, he correctly answered to it and said, no, please ask question on the OSMU Discord server. So that's what I said. Like usually when we do open up issues, this is related to an actual issue that you do face. Asking questions is the wrong place on GitHub. You don't want to ask any questions in the issues section. If you want to ask questions, then go over to the discussion page on GitHub and not on the issues tab. One good point for you would be, in order to, whenever you do face an issue, explain your issue as good as possible, and especially explain your issue, how you got it, or how did you get to this issue, what happened before this issue appeared. This is crucial for us to understand of how we might be able to fix it. This one turns out to be just an issue with someone needs to press a button in order to flash those devices. So this was not really an issue, it was a user issue. For example, additional mounting holes enhancement. This one here got labeled as an enhancement because this is an issue from Ben created himself. With only 2 mounting holes, there's only 1 heatsink orientation available. Adding 2 more holes will increase the options for cooling. So those are added in a 2.5 and then a 4.1 version, so therefore Scott closed this as completed. So that's usually how an issue works. On the software side, issues can be way longer and way more complex to explain, but this section, issues on a GitHub repository, especially on the Bitaxe or the ESP-minor repository, are the first place for you to go if you do face any issues, and also take a look on the open ones and take a look on the closed ones. As I said, like closed ones are those that are just closed because there is no explanation to it, because it is not an issue, or it's closed because this issue has been solved. And maybe you will find an answer to any issue that you will face. Most likely you won't face any issues, because most of those devices, as long as you stick to the Bitaxe legit list, will function just fine and should hash right away and should be lovely. So this should not be an issue, and this is just for you a good practice to start off using GitHub. So this video will be a little bit longer, and I hope that you will bear with me. But if you do like the video so far, I highly love it if you could give me a thumbs up or comment something below what you think. Especially I love to learn from you what you want to see, and if you want to have your question featured in one of the next videos or episodes of Bitaxe 101, just tweet about it on Twitter and hashtag Bitaxe 101 to it, so that I can see it and then I can bookmark it, and hopefully I can explain or I can answer your question that you have that you think is worth and noticeable for the next episode on here. So let's move on. We're now featured, okay, what's the basic understanding of GitHub, what you will find where, and also we do know what is your best practice in order to get used to issues that you might face. Also, whenever you do feel like there is something odd with your device and you don't think this is an issue but it's weird, just check out the Discord. We do have a help channel and you can always go there and ask questions. Nothing is stupid, just ask a question. Now, one of the most important steps, and this will be its own video, I will make a separate video for this, but I need to just teaser it here, are those pull requests. Let's hop over there, because with the issues, we were going into the first step of how you can actually contribute to any project. You can open up issues and you can let those people that created this hardware, this software, you can let them know, okay, mate, something is odd here, something is not all right, just check it out. That's what I did. That's the issue that I'm facing. Is this even an issue? Check it out. I think it is noticeable, and in this way you do help our people on GitHub so much. So open up issues whenever you do feel like there's a need for it. Now we are on something else. We are on the pull request section, and pull requests are changes from someone who has done some changes, and things like there are worth or noticeable that should be added into the GitHub repository. And therefore there are a couple ones here that are opened and a couple ones that are closed. Those ones, we do see a opening date of all of them are from last year, so most of them probably won't get or didn't get featured in the recent version of the Bitaxe design. What is a pull request? I briefly explained it, that a pull request is a change from someone else who thinks it's needed in the main branch, in the actual project repository. And that's the reason why you do create a pull request. So you want to change something and you want to push it to this repository. How you do this and what you can do with it, this is something that we will feature in the next episode, and this will be an even longer video. So I want to go to the next section. I want to hop over to discussions, and discussions is pretty big, and this is needed, and this is nice. This is something that we do love, and this is something that you also should love, because this is the section where you can also ask questions and get in touch with each other. You do see like welcome to Bitaxe discussions. If I just click on it, there's a welcoming, there is what you can ask here, ask questions you're wondering about, share ideas, engage with other community members, and welcome others, are open-minded. Remember that this is a community we're built together. So these are the initial words on the March 3rd of 2023 from Scott on his own discussion page. And yeah, this discussion is basically like a forum that you can use, where you can share your ideas or your polls, or you have some Q&As that you think are needed, and you can just go in here and ask, or you can share your ideas. This, I'd say, is a little bit outdated, because these days we only use Discord. From time to time we do take a look in here, but as you can see, like the last thing that was asked is over a month ago, or some of them are even older. Yeah, things are not really used on the discussion page, but from time to time a couple of people ask something, so it's not a good place, but it is a place that you can go. Especially you can also search for stuff. I don't know, like if I say footprint, I can just search for it, and as you see, I get like a response for the ASIC footprint, or making some changes and keep compatibility with ESP-minor. So that's a great one. That's definitely a great one. And this should, in theory, explain for you how to get used to Git and how you can actually get into it, and how you can first start with contributing or helping out the creators of a GitHub repository. By creating a issue, you're helping out the people and letting them know, okay, hey, something is odd with your product. Even though if it is a hardware or software, it doesn't matter. Some products do have failures, or some things that we never used. For example, I don't know, you cooled your Bitaxe to negative 50 degrees Celsius, and all of a sudden this thing explodes. I don't know why, what happened. Just for the reason of joking around, but you get the point. Creating issues is necessary, because we cannot test everything, and you sometimes test things that you never tested before, and then something weird happened. Why not share it with others, so that everybody knows, okay, this is an issue, this is worth noting, because something is not all right there. Or you do think like, okay, I reviewed this code and I think this is bullshit, let's create an issue about it, because this code is not good, it's creating issues. Maybe. That's the reason why you do create issues, in order to help others out or contribute. And this is the first go-to on your end on how to actually contribute to any project that you do see, hopefully to some of those Open Source Miners United community projects. I highly encourage everybody of you to just check them out of GitHub, get used to it, create your own account. You don't need to be a programmer to use GitHub. GitHub is a lovely place, and nothing is too stupid to ask. There are no stupid questions. Just decide, and decide on a goodwill of yourself. Is it worth being asked on GitHub so that everybody sees it? Or should I just go to Discord, which is a little bit more personal, I'd say. Wow, the last couple of minutes were a little bit tough, but I do hope that you have learned something new today, and that you don't fear anything. GitHub, it's an awesome platform, and it is built for the community. It's built for you, it's built for me, it's built for everybody, so that we can contribute to each other, so that we can share our knowledge and learn from each other. So I do hope that you liked today's video, and that you will stick to this series, because Bitaxe 101 is for you, and I will create it for you so that you learn more, and you need it. and I need it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.